Good afternoon, and welcome to the Middle East Forum's weekly podcast. My name is Lauri Regan, and on behalf of MEF, I once again thank you all for joining today and for your continued support of the critically important work that we do. Just want to remind everyone that in addition to today's podcast, please join us on Wednesday at 3 p.m. for Israel Insider with Alex Selsky, as well as on Friday morning at 11:30 a.m. for this month's Forum Roundtable on the Saudi pivot away from the United States and Israel. I'm very happy to be joined this afternoon by the insightful Beni Sabti, an Iran expert at the Institute for National Security Studies in Tel Aviv. Beni will be discussing Iran, diplomacy or war, and provide us with an update and his insights on the latest round of negotiations in Oman between the U.S. and Iran and where he sees things headed with the U.S.'s armada of military assets in the Middle East in response to Iran's crackdown on its citizens and intransigence on development of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. Beni will speak for about 15 minutes, followed by 15 minutes of audience questions. Today's podcast is being recorded and will be available for future viewing, so please do share the link with those in your networks who would be interested in learning more on this important and timely topic. Welcome, Beni, and thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. I hand the floor over to you.
Hi, thank you all, and thank you for having me here. I'm very glad, and I hope it will be useful and fruitful for you. Yes, we come to these amazing days that we are in very uncertain place and time, and the big question is U.S. and President Trump going to attack Iran regime and not Iran, the country or the people, because they massacred their people, and also they bring instability and terror and the missile program and other negative things to all over the world and even to US. So this is the main question that is on the table, but it doesn't begin only today or in these last days. The issue with Iran is going on for 47 years, exactly right after the victory of the revolution back in February 79. Actually, we are in the middle of the days of the revolution when it came through, and the regime was there for a new to take over Iran as a country. The Shah, the king, ran away a few weeks before that, of course, and since then we have this Islamic regime that the most important thing that it wants is to expand the revolution. And it's a very important thing, not only for Middle East, but it's for you to understand, because they don't want to take only Middle East and its countries. They don't believe in the borders of Syria, of Iraq, of Lebanon, of Israel, of course, of Jordan, because once all of these countries were part of Iranian empire. They want to bring back the empire. And not only that, they resist other ideologies, especially the ones who believe in liberalism, in democracy, in respecting others. And others are, first of all, the women, the Jews, the minorities, any kind of minorities. They resist that. So actually, they are in war with us since 47 years ago, and the first sign was taking U.S. embassy in November 79, a few months after the revolution. Maybe we forgot about them after that because they had their Iran-Iraq war and many other challenges, but Iran is back in the beginning of 2000s and with much more self-confidence, and they resist, again, the liberalism, the democracy, all of the American values or the Western values, and we come to this place because of that resistance. The terror actions of Hezbollah, which is the right hand of Iran outside of Iran. This is an Iranian army, Iran regime army, of course, outside of Iran, against the US troops or US civilians are much worse until the ISIS came. They were the first group to hurt Americans much before ISIS or Taliban or 9/11 or other things. So we have to know that it's a common problem. And we come to these days when we understand after October 7th that violence is their way to promote their goals and to bring all their ideology to everywhere. So Israel stood for itself since October 7th against Hamas. That is, of course, another kind of a terror organization that was supported by Iran and others. They are Sunnis, so it's a little bit complicated, but also against Hezbollah, against other groups. So Israel managed this war for these 2 years very successfully. But now Iran comes and threatens the whole world with the missile program and with the nuclear program. And we saw that we, Israel and US, and also with support of the Middle Eastern countries and European countries, we went to a war in June against Iranian regime. We had a lot of successful steps, and we almost even maybe destroyed some of them, and some of us think that it was going to that place to destroy the whole regime, but it didn't happen for some reasons. There was a ceasefire by President Trump and other reasons, but the problem is that they didn't understand the message of the war, and they brought back their missile program, and they have almost that original number of the missiles like they had before the war. And of course other issues, they still help Hezbollah and Hamas and bring them money, and other terror organizations. They don't stop with the propaganda. This is also another very important issue all over the world. All the demonstrations that you see in the Western countries, in Paris, in London, in New York, all the Islamist issues that happen in your places, it's also because of Iran regime, not only Qatar. So this is what I mean when I say they didn't understand the message of the war. And because of the war, another amazing thing happened inside Iran. The Iranian people who suffered this regime for 47 years, and especially in these last years, with the inflation, with the lack of water and electricity and everything that they have the right to have, that suddenly they came out. It's actually a direct result of Israel, Iran, and America war in June. But it took a little bit time, a few months. And in the Iranian eye, a few months is nothing. It's like 1 minute. So it's a direct result of the war, because they saw that their regime is like a paper tiger. So they had the courage to come out, but they are the easier enemy for Iran regime. They massacred them. They killed about 30,000, 40,000, 60,000. Nobody knows the right answer, the right number for that. And suddenly President Trump, for the first time since the revolution, supported the people. This is a huge thing for the Iranian people. He was the reason that they came out more and more. He promised to come and help them. The help didn't come immediately in the days of the protest, and the people are tired and beaten and killed, and they went home. But the energy is still there. If we go to that war and we see all the ships and all the planes and all the steps to be ready to attack Iran that are happening, that comes through. It's a huge energy for Iranian people. The problem is that American administration suddenly chose the other solution, to go again for the negotiations. We are very confused about that. We don't know how that happened. Israel is very worried. Actually, Prime Minister of Israel is coming to US tomorrow, or maybe the day after, to ask what happened here, because we are very confused about that. But maybe there are things that we don't understand. I don't think that President Trump promises something and doesn't do something about that. I know that he's honest. He's a businessman. He's other things that they say, but I know that he's honest. He keeps his word. So we have to see and wait what can happen between US and Israel, US and Iranian people, US and Iranian regime. We are in a very complicated place, but it cannot take much more time. We are really in that boiling point of all these points, all these triangles. So we have to wait and see what can happen. One interesting that I have to say, and this thing that is happening in the negotiations, and you have to really pay attention to that. Iran says that they are coming to talk only about the nuclear issues and nuclear program. But there is no nuclear program today. We bombed it. There is nothing from the Iranian side to bring to the table. So this is one thing that I, as an Iranian, don't understand. It's like someone who goes to a store with no money, with no credit card, and takes things and goes home, and nobody chases him. I don't know. This is the strangest thing that happened today, and I don't think that U.S. administration and Witkoff and of course President Trump and others, they are not naive. They are not stupid. I actually had 3-4 minutes of talk with Witkoff in a summit a few weeks ago. A long story. He was in Iranian hands for a few seconds. I think he was afraid a little bit even, but I let him go after that. I saw that he was very afraid. So I asked him and I begged him not to give Iran regime more time, to be very correct with them and not giving them more than that. And he said, yes, we know that they want to bring other tricks and then deceive us, and we won't let them. So in this point, I don't see how Witkoff knows the Iranian regime nature. But maybe we can be wiser after a few days, or there is something of a surprise or something. But today it looks like very, very complicated. So this is my words for now, and now we can go for questions or any other note.
Thank you, Beni. That was a great overview. Appreciate it. And there are a lot of actually really good questions. So I'm going to just dive right into them. Somebody asked, what effect has and will the funneling of resources and intelligence from the West to the resistance in Iran have on regime change there?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because if we see the results, and I can see it only from the results, I don't have any pre-information or something secret. I just see the news just like you, but I'm Iranian, I'm Israeli, and I combine my values and Israeli values, and this is what I see. From the result, we can see that there was this massacre, and if they had guns and if they had information, things could be different. But I think West is not helping them with physical things or with information. Actually, the ones who bring us information about the logistic issues of IRGC, where they keep their trucks, like ISIS trucks, they have the same methods, you know? It's a very strange thing that they are called different groups, different terror groups, but they have the same method, they have the same terror, they have the same trucks, the same motorcycles, every one of them, it's the same thing, and everything began with the Iranian Revolution. Till 79, we didn't have all of these things. And suddenly these Islamic movements came out. They are the same. But we sometimes hear the Iranians, please go bomb this place of trucks, of motorcycles, the storage of guns or bombs or anything of Iran regime. They guide us to the place. They have the information and they help us. I don't think that we help them in these issues.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you, Benny. Someone else asked, in the event of a fundamental change in Iran's political system, whether through a managed transition or collapse of the regime, how do you assess the implications for the country's territorial integrity? Do you foresee the emergence of secessionist tendencies among certain ethnic or regional groups? Is there a shift toward a federal decentralized governance model? What do you see happening?
First of all, and it's also related to the other question, the chances to bring down the regime are very high today. The people had that. They don't want this regime. The regime made a secret poll about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, after the war, but before the protests. It was supposed to be secret, but it was revealed accidentally to the Iranian media, and it was out, and we saw that 92% of the Iranians hate the regime, not resist, not unsatisfied, not want to change this issue or that issue to fix the water issue. No, they hate the regime, their values, IRGC, everything that they do. They shouted in the protests, no to Gaza, no to Lebanon, I live only for Iran. It means that your goals are not my goals. They hate them. So they want to bring down the regime, and this is the best time to do that. And what can happen after? I know that you hear very much about the minorities in Iran, but they don't want to tear Iran apart. They are more Iranians more than they are Kurdish or Baluchis or Azeris or Arab or other things. They love Iran. They are actually in the center part of that ancient Iranian empire. They lost a lot of territories. Yes, Iraq was once Iran, Syria was once Iran, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all these territories of northern part of Iran. Afghanistan was part of Iran. But after a few centuries, they were another nation. They went for to be another country. But Iran, as it is today, they want to stay together. And they shouted also their option in these protests. They want to bring the monarchy back. I'm not naive, okay? Not all of the Iranians are monarchies. Not all of them love the king or the kingdom and what was there until 79. The king also did very bad things, the father. The son is a much more liberal, much more than his father was until 79. He respects others, the minorities, women, Israel, the Jews, liberal values. So he looks good and kind of the best option for Iran to be united around him. Maybe some kind of monarchy in Britain. This is the thing that they have in mind. He doesn't have to be the head of the country. And he wants to really bring the democracy back. So this is what they know from their past. Nobody taught them real democracy, real freedom. So they want to go back, but with more liberal values. And the problem with this guy is that he doesn't have any kind of soldiers, any kind of organization inside Iran. And it comes from a romantic and nostalgic place. The support for him is not a real thing, boots on the ground. It's not like that. So if West could help him with that, maybe it was better. Not bringing guns and information to resist, but guide them to be more Democrats and bringing democracy to Iran. Maybe it was better than guns.
Thank you for that. Someone asked whether there's substantial Iranian support for an Israeli attack if there's sanctions and relief and a nuclear agreement with the U.S. And I'm just going to throw in my opinion there that I don't see the Trump administration that actually withdrew from the JCPOA entering into a new version of that with sanctions relief. But let's assume that some kind of agreement is met. This person is asking if you see Iranian support for an Israeli attack.
First of all, as we say in Israel, the minimum of the demands of President Trump doesn't meet the maximum that the Iran regime wants to give. If they want to give anything, as I said, there is no nuclear program. So what we are talking about? If we are not going to the second step or third step, the terror program and missile program, and of course, freedom for Iranian people and human rights. So what we are talking about? This is not logic at all. So for what to make an agreement? And President Trump knows that. Some of us assess that he wants the legitimacy to attack Iran, to be in a maximum place of legitimacy to attack Iran again. And it's a very amazing thing. After 47 years, in 6 months, attacking Iran twice, almost 6 months. It's a very amazing thing. We didn't imagine it that can happen. But even leader of Iran said that I won't bring war to your homes. And he brought it almost twice. So there is nothing to make an agreement about. I think President Trump is going to show that to the world, to the Iranian regime, to the Iranian people. Israel is very, very connected to U.S. administration in that place and very synchronized. And as I said, Prime Minister is going to U.S. to talk about that. What are you going to do with the Iranian regime and the talks and to be updated? So Israel is not going to do something by itself without, we cannot call it in permission. It's not kind of a permission. because we are still an independent country. But being in kind of in a synchronized place is very important for Israel, because we are kind of very close and like brothers. Israel and US are really like a twin for each other. One is very big and one is very small, okay, but still. So we don't assess that Israel can attack Iran or want to attack Iran if there is no kind of synchronization about that with US. But we have to wait and see a few days to see what can happen between Trump and Bibi.
Beni, I'm just going to give the flip side of that. Is there support in Israel for an Israeli military attack on Iran?
Yes, sure. From the public, you mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, but the people, very sorry to say that, okay? People don't understand in these issues in that depth and in the details. So we can make a poll about we have to attack Iran or we cannot attack Iran. Okay, yes, no, 60% here. It's a kind of a professional thing. It's not a political thing. You know, in Israel, maybe the one thing that everyone is agreed about is the Iranian regime issue, that it has to be brought down and it's an evil regime and everything. So it's kind of 100% agreement about that. But it's not a public issue at all. It's a professional issue. Where is the nuclear program? All with all that I said, okay, but where it is exactly, where is the missile program? Where is the terror program? The propaganda program? These are things that people are not involved, and it's not about the mood or political issue.
Thank you, Beni. If Israel or the U.S. attacks Iran, what would be their target? And is an attack enough to bring down the regime?
Well, in these last years, Iran regime became like Hamas. Actually, they taught Hamas to be in that way of resistance and surviving and killing their people and stealing and kidnapping. Everything came from Iran regime. And now they are doing it inside Iran, and they became more and more fanatic about that. Now they are in that place. So one bombing or three bombing, it doesn't help to bring down the regime. It should be a whole kind of war or I don't know, very much bigger than 12-day war. First of all, to bring down the regime, we have to take out the leader. He is the glue of the Iranian regime. Because if we bring him down, there is no successor for him. His son is the only one that potentially can be his successor, but all the people and the other clerics and also some of IRGC hate him. So he is not a good option for themselves. And the moment he's gone, there can be a rebellion inside IRGC, inside the army, inside other establishments. So if US succeeds to take him out of this equation, there can be a huge change. But what can it go to? We cannot know that from now. But we know for sure that the leader is that thing that has to be away to bring him down and to disappear. And the day after, maybe we can help that crown prince. Maybe we can help that parts of army that can rebel against the whole regime, or you know what, make some agreement with the more moderate parts of IRGC that want even to rescue themselves. They want to save themselves, but they are ready not to hate Israel or US, or it's together actually. So this can be enough for us and for the Iranian people actually. The terror program in that moment is gone. The missile program is gone. Nuclear program doesn't exist, of course. So the leader is the main problem. If US succeeds to do something with him, it's not the same day.
So thank you, Beni. Someone points out that Israel. There was a point in time that Bibi actually asked Trump to not attack because Israel would be on the receiving end of any response by Iran, or would very likely be on the receiving end. And now it appears that Israel is militarily and defensively ready for anything that is thrown at it and is switching course. What then? And a lot of people want you to get inside Trump's head. A ton of questions are related to that. But what do you think is holding the U.S. back at this point? I mean, Trump doesn't seriously believe that, he's going to come up with a deal with them. So what do you think is holding the military back, the U.S.?
Very sorry to say, as a part of media, don't believe everything that is said to you by the media, especially when it comes to what Israeli Prime Minister thought or said to US President. There are so many spins, so many psychological war in these days everywhere, and I'm very sorry to say that. But this is the way that we made the 12 days war so successful. In that half an hour of the beginning of the war, that night, that we eliminated 44 IRGC generals or high-ranked officers and 18 nuclear scientists, which two of them were the responsible and the scientists of how to make the nuclear bomb. And when they are not here, the world is safer. This is the reason actually that there is no nuclear program, because the people are also not here. They had the knowledge with them and they are not here. This is maybe the thing that they want. Bibi says, yes, we are defenseless. Let's wait. Let's this, let's that. We didn't buy it inside Israel. Every 5 minutes we have another news about what Bibi said, what Bibi thought. Iran is a very good issue to make spins. It's kind of a very exciting thing. It's like a very nice movie of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rambo and all those things that maybe you saw. I'm in that old, so these are my heroes. Okay, don't judge me, please. So, and maybe there are new ones. I don't know. So they are making that thing, that scenes, because they want to catch Iran regime again, not prepared. So take it with a grain of salt. Everything that comes out, especially from Israel, take it a little bit more with cautious.
Very good advice, Beni. And on that note, unfortunately, we have run out of time, and there's still some questions that we didn't get to, but you covered a lot of ground, and really appreciate you taking the time to join us this afternoon. Thank you to everybody in the audience. And again, a reminder to join us on Wednesday for Israel Insider with Alex Selsky, and on Friday at 11:30 a.m. for our roundtable discussion on Saudi Arabia. Again, thank you all. Thank you, Beni. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.